In this video, I'm going to give you 5 different tips on how to deal with a Karen in the lawn care business. Today's video is sponsored by Yardbook. If you need a software for your lawn care business, go to yardbook.com and sign up for a free account. Now, if you're like me, a few months ago, you might be wondering, what is a Karen? So a Karen is a term that's come up in the past few years to describe particularly a female that is hard to deal with, that's very demanding, that's very entitled. And so you think about that in the lawn care perspective, that customer that is demanding, that wants it done, that complains a lot, and has an entitled mentality. I'm gonna tell you how to deal with it in this video. I think there should be a male term for a Karen too. There may be one of those out there. If so, leave it in the comments. It's not just women that are demanding, and also be men that are demanding and entitled. So we're gonna talk about it. Let's get started. Number 1 tip on how to deal with a Karen in the lawn care business is to be able to read the clues on the front end. Okay, so if you can spot a Karen before they're your customer, that's even better. So a Karen, let's just say, how would I spot a Karen? You might want to ask a question or pick up on these context clues in that initial conversation. So it goes something like this. They call me up and they say, hey Jason, I'm interested in a quote for a lawn care perspective. And then you start asking a few questions. Okay, I do weed control and fertilization. Is that what you're looking for? Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Well, have you been working with a lawn company before? And then if you ask that question, oh yeah, if she starts going off and saying, yeah, well, last year I had so-and-so and they didn't show up and they did this wrong. And last year, the year before that, I had this company, I had to fire them, and I'm on my 4th company in 4 years, and I'm just gonna keep looking until I find somebody to do it right. Okay, my antenna radars go up at that point thinking, I'm not gonna label her a Karen, but I do know my competitors. I have a lot of respect for most of my competitors. I know some of them do a very good job with their lawns. And so she fired, 2 or 3 other companies that I know are reputable companies and do a good job. Then I need to be a little bit hesitant before I just jump right in and say, oh yeah, let me come over and give you a price right away. So tip number 1 is try to listen on the front end of the conversation, ask a few qualifier questions, and see if she's screaming out before she even hires you that she is a Karen. She may let you know on the front end, and if you can avoid it, that would be awesome. So another simple question you can ask is just simply, why did you cancel with the last company? What were you dissatisfied with your previous lawn care provider? Now, for me, how that works is I go out there and I look at a yard and they're hiring me for weed control and fertilization. I go out there and I don't see any weeds in the yard, and the yard looks great, and they fired the person. And I'm thinking, well, they might have fired him over cost, which is not great for me either. But if they fired him because they're unhappy because they got 1 blade of nutsedge, I remember a guy telling me that years ago. He said he was doing weed control and he goes out and gets a call back. He goes out there, was literally 1 blade of nutsedge, 1 nutsedge plant had popped up in the yard. He said that the customer went over there and pointed at it. He said, I bent down, pulled it up out of the ground and showed it to him. And that was the callback. I mean, that is not realistic expectations. So let's try to hopefully catch that before you enter into one of these bad relationships. Tip number 2, you got to set the rules from the start. Okay, you got to say, this is how it's going to be. Let's say we're mowing grass and Karen wants you to change the schedule up for whatever they've got going on that week. I've got a dinner party Friday night. Can you come Friday? And your usual day's Thursday. Well, maybe I can come Friday, but probably not because I'm on this neighborhood on Fridays, and your neighborhood is 15 minutes out of the way. I was in your neighborhood on Thursday. So for me to it's not so easy. I know the customers don't always see it that way, but for me to stop what I'm doing, drive over there to cut 1 yard and then go back and deal with the other yards, it's not always that easy. And so you want to set the terms, how you're going to be paid, what the schedule is going to look like, what the service is going to be like. And I think there's something we can learn as lawn care providers for this, because sometimes we're not very clear on the beginning of what actually is included. For me, doing weed control and fertilization, sometimes I could do a better job of explaining that, hey, I'm gonna spray your yard, the grass. This does not include the flower bed areas. If you want that done, there is an extra cost for that. Well, if I don't explain that, Karen might think that everything's included. weeds in the crack of the driveway, you know, are included. Any flower beds. If I got ants, isn't that included? No, it's not, Karen, it's not included. So you gotta set the terms from the beginning, whatever that was, and then you gotta maintain control of your business. Again, there's number one pet peeve in my business. Like you didn't join the lawn care industry so that you could have hundreds of people telling you what to do. You join, you're self-employed, but you gotta maintain that, but communicate clearly. I mean, it's not always the customer's fault if we don't communicate clearly. So Karen really needs you to explain to her what the terms are of the agreement at the beginning and have a verbal agreement from both sides that, hey, this is what we provide, and she said, yes, that is my understanding of what you provide. Number 3 tip with dealing with Karen is you don't want to get behind with Karen as far as payments go, meaning let her get behind. You want prepay or card on file. Okay, a lot of times that's what I do with my customers. I say, hey, it's prepay for the year with 5% discount, or you can put a credit card on file. Karen might want to hold that against you if, let's just say, you mowed her grass 2 times and you're not going to bill her till the end of the month, or 3 times. Well, if Karen's not satisfied with you, Karen might just hold that money in her pocket and say, I'm not paying you until you come back out here and fix what you didn't do right. Now, whether or not it was done wrong or not, that's between you and Karen. But in Karen's mind, that's her leverage against you. She's got your money and she's not paying you until you make it right in her eyes, by her terms, regardless of what you agreed upon at the beginning. So Karen, and this is just good, honestly, this is just good for any customer, but especially for Karen, she needs a credit card on file, or she needs to prepay for the year so that you're never behind on the money, so that she don't have that leverage against you. So, hey Karen, you can fire me whenever you want to. That's fine with me. Matter of fact, it might actually make my day go a lot better. But I don't want Karen to fire me without paying me for what the work I've already done. I've had that happen before, and that just makes it all the more painful. And I'm thinking, I don't care that I got fired, but I don't like getting fired and not getting paid for work, honest work that I did and did up to a good standard, but it wasn't good enough for Karen, and I don't think anybody will be good enough for her. Make sure you get paid or get that card on file. And you might want to even charge the card on file when you show up at the yard, you know, not after and the card get declined and it didn't go through and now you're still behind. And now you're asking Karen to put a new card on file because the card she had on file didn't go through. The 4th tip to dealing with a Karen, and we've hinted at this already, but if there's extra work to be done, charge extra. Karen might want to try to milk you for more than what you initially agreed upon. Again, for Karen's mind, you go out there and cut the grass and say, hey, would you mind just go ahead and trimming these few bushes right here? That's not a big deal. You might just trim the hedges. Or I'm out there spraying the yards. Hey, could you just go ahead and spray in my flower beds here for me? It's not just a little bit of weeds. Well, yeah, Karen, we can do that. Here's what it costs. You know, and just explain to it. But everything has a cost, because for Karen, Karen wants to leverage. Karen wants control. Karen wants to tell you what to do when she wants it done. And if Karen feels like you might be making an extra nickel off of her, then she's not happy about that. So she wants to have control and see, what else can I get him to do? This time I got him to trim the bush for free. Next time I'm gonna get, if I can get him to put his garbage can. I remember, I've told this story before, but I had a lady, and this wasn't a Karen, this lady was nice, but her husband was short. And so I'm not tall, I'm like 6 feet tall, but she wanted me to come in and hang a picture on the wall because her husband was too short, or he didn't like ladders or something. So I'm in there hanging a picture on her wall, which I didn't mind doing. It wasn't that big a deal. But you understand what I'm saying. There are customers out there, and I'm sure there's stories, that will take advantage of you, that will get you to do extra stuff and not want to pay you for it. No, don't forget getting a tip. You know, I've got so many customers that leave me tips, and that's a feature I love about Yardbook. It lets the customers leave a tip. And I was blown away at how many tips I get. I mean, $100 tips occasionally. And I really appreciate that. Well, don't think Karen's giving you a tip. Karen's thinking she's already paying too much. I wish I could get more out of this guy than I'm already getting. Let me see what I can do to get him to do some extra work. So make sure you're charging extra if it's extra work that was not included. I mean, you can be reasonable. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just gonna say I had to pick up one stick, that's $5. I'm not being unreasonable, but don't let her get away with it either. Number 5 tip, maybe this is the most important one, maybe this should have been first. But you got to be willing to walk away from Karen. Okay, now it's easier to walk away because of tip number 3, we're not behind on the money. Okay, she's paid us for what we've done. If Karen can't be a reasonable customer and thinks that she's your only customer, sometimes that's Karen's problem, is Karen thinks you only got one customer and her name's Karen. So like you're on call 24/7 to come out and meet all my needs. You say, Karen, I've got hundreds of customers. Okay, you say this all in a nice way, but I've got hundreds of customers. I can't be waiting on your every need. You know, I will spray your yard today and I will be back in about 6 weeks to spray it again if you have a need. But now if you call me out here for an extra service, if you use a call back because you got a problem, because I try to communicate, hey, you got a problem, let me know, I'll come out and look at it. If I come back out there and you got one weed that popped up, you got one blade of nut sedge, and you called me back out there for one blade of nut sedge, then we got a problem. Okay, or if you complain all the time, you know, I'm doing a good job, it's a fair price, everything, but I'm telling you, 8 years in a row, you've complained multiple times every year, and oh, by the way, I don't think you've said one positive thing, and oh, by the way, you got the HOA yard of the month because your yard looks so good, and you still want to complain about it every single time I come out, you nitpick over some bunch of nothing. You got to be willing to walk away. Karen can have it. I mean, I don't care. Karen can go be somebody else's miserable day, but you got to be willing to walk away from Karen and not have to put up with all that drama. Let me say this to you. Look at me here. You don't have to fix Karen. You don't have to be burdened by Karen. You don't have to feel guilty for getting rid of Karen. Karen was miserable before she hired you. She's miserable now that she has you, and she will likely be miserable for the next person that she has to deal with as well. That's not my job. I'm not out here trying to fix all the Karens of the world. I'm out here to provide a good service for reasonable people who want to pay and have reasonable expectations. And if they don't fit that category, I'm moving on, because you know what? I got a lot of things going on in my life. And the last thing I want to be dealing with is some lawn person that ain't got nothing else to do with their life but to sit around and find something to complain about. I don't have time for it. So move on, find it. I mean, I tell you, one of the greatest things of business, y'all can take this however you want, it's being able to cancel bad customers. Be able to fire them before they fire you. I'm telling you, I probably enjoy that more than I should. I mean, it is a great pleasure in having business and knowing that, hey, you were a terrible customer, you took advantage of me, you complained, you paid late, you whatever. And I'm telling you, as of today, I'm no longer going to be providing service to you. Now, I'll let them know in the nicest way. I may recommend them to my least favorite competitor and just moving on with my life. But don't let these people ruin your day. Move on. It's not worth it. There's more customers out there. Anyway, I hope this video has been helpful for you. The 2024 Lawn Care Life Conference is coming up in about 3 weeks from the time of this video. If you hadn't registered, go to lawncarelife.com, click on the conference link at the top of the page, use the promo code 2024 and you will save 10%. It's $229, save 10%. If more than one person signs up at a time, you save another 10%. And it includes all your meals, Friday night, all day Saturday. We got Alan Hain, Paul Jameson, myself, Naylor Taliaferro, Caleb Brittany Allman, Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut, Jeremiah Jennings. We got a good crew coming. Jeremy Vest, my friend, forgot about him. So anyway, good crew, good topics. We got sponsors for days. We got Ferris, Xmark, Landscaping Bookkeeper, Yard Book. I'm sure Crest, and bringing equipment, Ferris, Crest, Xmark, all bring equipment. We've got almost 100 acres to get out and ride equipment. If you hadn't been to the Lawn Care Life Conference, this is the 4th one we've done at 24, February 23rd and 24th near Birmingham, Alabama. There's a discounted group rate on the hotel. It's all on the website. Go to lawncarelife.com, click on the conference link. We'll see you guys in the next video. Don't let the Karens ruin your year. Let's get out there and dominate. See ya.